It's estimated that 570 million people globally have an autoimmune condition. That's a lot of people. I mean, that's way more than the population of Europe. And they're typically classified as diseases of industrialized, affluent nations. And as I said, 80+ conditions, typical ones being celiac disease, thyroid, autoimmune thyroid conditions such as Hashimoto's, Graves as well. You've got rheumatoid arthritis, you've got inflammatory bowel disease. The list goes on, 80+ conditions. Environment is key here. The research base suggests that the genetic component of developing autoimmunity is somewhere between 10 and 30%. Environment is key, epigenetics, meaning above genetics. So what you do in your life, the food choices you make, the toxic load you're under, how stressed you are, whether you move and breathe properly, are all fundamental to whether you develop these things. We know this through studies with identical twins. They don't, because they have the same genetic base, does not mean they end up in the same place health-wise. Environment, one twin might live in the equator, the next one lives up on the top of Norway. And they have different health outcomes because of environment. Environment trumps every time, or virtually every time. So what's going on? Dysbiosis, we talked about the imbalance in the microflora in the gut. Loss of oral tolerance can increase food sensitivities, okay, or sensitivity to the environment as well. And the stage is set for genetically predisposed individuals to develop autoimmunity. That is why food sensitivities and sensitivity testing to the environment is fundamental in the protocols that practitioners like myself use to help people with autoimmune conditions. Does that make sense? I hope so. So, the key ingredients, and this is, again, this is simplistic, but it is really, really key. Environment. I've talked about environment, and I've talked about genetics. And the environment literally touches your genetics through your gut, because that's the single largest point of interaction between yourself and your environment. So we can't control our genetics. You know, we really can't control. Our genes are dealt at conception. At this point in time, we don't have control over that. But the environment we have control over to an extent. Admittedly, we can't eliminate toxins. We all have toxins in our system, unless you move planets, which I think some people are talking about doing, like going to Mars or something. But you can probably reduce the load by 80% by making sensible choices in your life. You know, the type of things you use on your skin, your healthcare products, what you cook with. Do you use cling film? Do you use baker foil? Do you microwave food in a plastic container? What toothpaste do you use? Deodorants. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Do you lie on a bed that's oozing flame retardants? We spend a third of our life in bed, or some of us do, and you know, the bromine that's in flame retardants, if you're lying on the bed at night and that's oozing out of your mattress, how much damage might that be doing you? And it is really scary when you start lifting the lid on that, because it actually, I mean, you could become a bit neurotic about it, but the point is that you just need to make sensible choices. But the gut is the key mediator between environment and genetics. Okay, leaky gut. So here we have a situation where leaky gut, which is a term that used to be sneered at by modern medicine, we know is absolutely categorically true that you can have intestinal permeability, you let through into systemic circulation things you shouldn't have, and that can cause inappropriate immune responses. But what this is saying, this is a quote from a paper in 2005, and what this is actually saying is that these autoimmune issues can actually be modulated and even reversed, which is an incredible statement, by modulating the gut, the tight junction dysfunction. So if you can control the gut and the health of the gut, you have half a chance of regaining control of your health and well-being if you're autoimmune, and that's pretty staggering. Molecular mimicry. This is an interesting one, because this what we got here is two proteins, casein, which is the protein in milk, and the islet cells in the pancreas. Now, the islet cells in the pancreas produce insulin. If you're type 1 diabetic, the immune system is attacking the islet cells in the pancreas. This is the molecular makeup, the amino acid sequence, okay, of this particular protein. So there are 20-odd amino acids that make up proteins. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of similarity in the coding between casein and the cells of the pancreas that produce insulin. So what happens if you lose oral tolerance because of dysbiosis in the gut, you mount an immune response against casein every time you consume dairy. The immune system takes out casein and mounts a response against this, and may well also mount a response against that. So the immune system is actually attacking the islet cells in the pancreas, which then, of course, means you can't produce insulin, which means you develop type 1 diabetes. And in research, the research is reasonably clear that casein, dairy consumption, is often implicated in type 1 diabetes. Just a thought. Food for thought. Autoimmunity. So again, we're running out of time here, but CyREX5, they do a panel on autoimmunity. So you've got various parts of the body, and you've got various immunological responses to those parts of the body. And the key point here is that if you detect these things that are out of range, you can actually, because they all should be in the green column, if anything's out of range, then you can work out potentially what is going on, what is perpetuating that problem, that inflammatory cascade, work it out with food sensitivity testing, environmental testing, and heal and seal the gut, and actually potentially correct this inappropriate inflammation, which is perpetuating the autoimmune cascade. This stuff here, this inflammation, can happen 10 years before you develop symptoms. So when you do a test like this, you're not saying you're going to get autoimmunity. What it's saying is that there's a much greater risk of you developing autoimmunity. So for this particular client, we're talking about elevation to the parts of the brain, cerebellum. So long term, that might be an issue for them. Chemical reactivity, again, how you are reacting to chemicals in the environment. So here, I believe that's benzene, so that's in tobacco and car exhausts and furniture wax and all kinds of things that people use on a daily basis. Again, inappropriate response going on here to parabens. Parabens are preservatives. They're in cosmetics. They're in health products, bad health products. Wine, dare I say it, some wines. It's preservatives. Very pervasive. Pathogens, again, are you responding in a latent way to particular pathogens that are in the body? So we know that, for example, Candida albicans can cross-react with virtually any part of the body. So if you've got an immunological response going on against yeast, or particularly yeast, then you potentially have a situation where the immune system might be attacking other parts of the body. Candida, by the way, is also directly cross-reactive with gluten, so it can perpetuate a gluten-type response in somebody, often seen. And implicated now, by the way, in some research with MS, for example. So, the road to health. What can you do? Evaluate and change your environment. This is really, really key. You have more control than you would imagine on what is going on around you. Okay, admittedly, you might not be able to change your job, but try and control what you can control. Reduce stress or the impact of stress. Meditate, do yoga, do something you enjoy, whether it's a sport, golf, sailing, whatever it is, horse riding. Try and do something on an occasional basis or regularly that you actually really enjoy doing. That is meditative. You don't have to sit there with your legs crossed and make funny noises to meditate. Deep breathing is meditative. You can literally take deep breaths just for a few minutes. Hold the breath for 4 at the top and then exhale and do it with a diaphragm. And exhale and hold it for 4 at the bottom. That can literally shift you from being stressed into being not stressed. Simple techniques. Toxic load. Reduce the toxic load or how many chemicals you've been marinated in. Again, you can't eliminate it all, but just make sensible choices. Look at the type of products you're using on your skin. Look at the products you're putting in your dishwasher. Look at the utensils you use in your kitchen. Look at the chemicals you use in your garden. Are they necessary? Can you use an alternative? Do you need to spray your vegetables with an insecticide? Or can you use some other technique? Just thinking about what you do. Every choice you make either attracts or detracts from health. And it's like, it's a balance, it's a seesaw. The more you do on one side, if it's to do with health, you make more healthy choices, you're likely to be more healthy, and vice versa. Move. We're designed to move. I know you've been sitting here for some time, I'm sorry about that. But we are designed to move. We're not just sitting, we sit in cars, we sit at lectures, we sit on planes, we sit down and watch TV, we sit in the modern world. And sitting is not good for us, it's very, very inactive. Standing, I mean, you can stand at your desk, for example. There are standing desks. Scandinavians do stand at standing desks, and it's becoming more and more common over here. And I would argue it's a very good thing to possibly do, because you're moving. Park your car away from the supermarket. Don't try and get the parking space by the front door. Park it at the other end of the car park and walk. I mean, it depends, obviously, how fit and how old you are, but as a general rule of thumb, try and move. Improve sleep. Sleep is really fundamental. It's restorative. So you need to be sleeping well. And of course, lots of people have issues with sleep, and they don't sleep well. So that could be for many reasons. It could be histamine issues. It could be because they're using computers before they go to bed, and the blue light disrupts the production of melatonin. It could be they don't sleep in a dark environment. It could be many, many reasons. It could be that they don't have enough minerals because they have a gluten-related disorder. So actually, they're not getting the nutrients in required to actually create melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. So tryptophan goes to serotonin, serotonin to melatonin. We have to have the cofactors. You need magnesium. You need all kinds of enzyme. You need things that need to be fed with nutrients from the food you get. Look after your digestive system. Rebalance your digestive system. This, I hope, you realize is absolutely fundamental to your health and well-being. Remove the inflammatory foods. Work with a practitioner if you don't want to do this yourself. Work with somebody who knows how to do this. There's lots of very capable practitioners around. So use somebody who knows what they're doing to identify what the inflammatory foods are for you, okay? And they can be unique to you. I have autoimmune clients who react to almonds and react to broccoli. So you cannot say one size fits all. I'm not saying almonds are bad or broccoli is bad, but for those particular individuals, it's a problem for the time being until you get balance in the gut. If you rebalance the microecology of the gut, you regain control. If you regain control, you reduce the chance of that particular chronic condition becoming an issue for you. You're in control. You are not the passenger. You're the driver. Seriously. It doesn't have to be that way, even if it's a family trait. In fact, we talk about family traits, but it doesn't have to be that way. Chew, sit down, have dinner with loved ones, talk. Don't sit in front of the TV, eating, not talking, interacting. Make it a social occasion. It's very important. The whole digestive process is kicked off that way, and you take time to eat. And don't overeat. 80% full is the way to go. But if you eat slower and you chew and you think about what you're eating, then the chances are you won't overeat. Replace the microecology, so use probiotics, prebiotics. Now Nature's Corner do a wonderful selection of prebiotics and probiotics, all kinds of things that you can use, supplement, to actually help rebalance the microecology of the gut. Don't wage war with the gut. Do not nuke it. Yeah? Do not. Just go easy on it. If you rebalance the microecology of the gut, it will self-correct. By improving the beneficial species of bacteria in the gut, you are more likely to correct it than using, let's say, an antibiotic remedy to take out a pathogenic organism. Use herbs and spices. Use food. Use supplements. Good supplements. Supplement wisely. And support the repair of the gut lining. So the gut lining needs fats and amino acids. So meat stocks, forgive me any vegetarians or vegans here, but meat stocks are riddled with nutrients that are very supportive. Glutamine, which comes from the foods I just talked about. You can also supplement with glutamine as well. And support stomach acid production. That's really, really important. So lots of things you can do. And Nature's Corner have a wonderful selection of products there. So let's talk about Nature's Corner for a bit. Because they're doing certain products tonight, although I'm told that the turmeric is not here. So turmeric is, apparently there's a special offer of 20% off in store for a bit of time, I believe. And the products they're doing in the foyer, there is an event discount on these particular products. So ashwagandha, which is a fabulous product for helping to control stress. We know that that can help enormously in terms of, it's called an adaptogen. So it can support the adrenal glands in particular and reduce the stress response or help you manage stress response or stressful situations, okay? Also really good for sleep. If you're suffering or presenting with sleep issues, sometimes taking a couple of tablets of ashwagandha just before you go to bed can make a big difference. You've got to be careful, though, obviously, with any supplement. You've got to supplement according to what drugs you're taking at the particular point in time, because there are drug-nutrient interactions, so just be aware of what medications you're on before you start popping things. But these are brilliant products. So ashwagandha is great. Turmeric is a fabulous anti-inflammatory agent. It does lots of things. So I think there's about 600 different things it does in the body. If a medical company, if a pharmaceutical company had invented turmeric, it'd probably be the most successful company on the planet. Saccharomyces boulardii, which is a probiotic yeast, brilliant for rebalancing the microecology of the gut. It allows the communication of bacteria to be enhanced. It increases certain parts of the immune system you want increased. And it's fantastic also for things like if you have to take antibiotics and you're disrupting the microflora, then something like a Saccharomyces boulardii is a brilliant product to take at the same time. Also brilliant for something like traveler's diarrhea or diarrhea. This is a great product to take away if you're traveling abroad or you want to reduce the chance of you developing some sort of travel diarrhea. Optibac do a great range as well, that's specifically to do with that. The pucker teas, brilliant tea. These things are full of polyphenols, great compounds that the beneficial bacteria love. So by consuming these on a regular basis, this is going to help. And then you've got digestive enzymes which help break food down. And you've got a multi-strain probiotic here. So great products that are out there tonight, and I'm sure the wonderful staff at Nature's Corner will help you in whatever questions you might have on that. So, just to reiterate, okay, I'm sorry, but sensitivities, okay, causes chronic inflammation, which really, really, really is a big part of chronic disease, okay? If that's the last thing you take away from me mentally, I've done half of my job.